All right, it's time to learn about Git. And if you don't know what Git is, it's an awesome way to sort of control your code as you move along in development. So it's especially helpful to go back to previous versions of your code in case you sort of break something and you say, I need to go back to this point in time. Or if you're working on a bunch of different features, you can work on one individual feature and then bring it back smoothly into your code. If you're working with teams, Git is an awesome resource. So if you want to know more about Git, go to git-scm.com and you can learn a ton of stuff there. And I recommend, regardless of what operating system you're on, make sure you have Git installed on your computer. As you can see from the home screen here, you can download it for Mac, which is what I'm on. But again, that will get you to the right download for whatever operating system that you have. And although it said it was going to download, looks like I'm going to have to click this to get it to install automatically. With this, the basic idea, with Git is that you have some control. It's called a version control. There's lots of different kinds of this, and you'll see that as we move forward with Android Studio. But let's go ahead and open up a new Android Studio project, and we're just going to make one to learn how to work with Git. So let's just go ahead and call this version control demo, just like that. And we just want to do all the defaults for this and go ahead and make a new project. Now, I already have Git installed on my machine. That's why I didn't go forward with the whole installer and all that stuff. But again, you might want to do that to make sure that you have Git installed on your computer. I can tell you personally, there have been many times that Git has saved my butt when I've done something absolutely dumb with my code, deleted something that I shouldn't have. But then the other thing with Git is it's only as good as many times as you essentially make these commits, which are basically saves. So as much as you save your code, you're going to be able to go back in time to a point when things were working. So it's kind of a, Git is great, but it's only as great as you use it to be. So you got to kind of be on top of it. But we'll learn how to use all this stuff. So now that we have Android Studio open, you can see we've got this VCS here up at the top. This is one of our menu items up there. And this is called Version Control Systems. And you can choose which one that you'd like to work with. So here, if we go enable version control integration, it's going to say, hey, which system would you like to integrate with? And so there's others besides Git, but Git is definitely the most popular and I think the best. So let's go ahead and move forward with Git. We'll say okay to that. And now that we have that in place, let me show you how to create your first commit. Again, think of Git as a way to sort of make points in a timeline of your project that you're working on. So to make our first commit, what we're going to do is we're going to go to VCS, and then we're going to go to Git. Then we're going to scroll down here until we find this add. And now with this add, I guess before we click this, we have to choose what it is that we're going to add. So we're going to select this whole app folder. As far as this Gradle script goes, like we could add this stuff, but sometimes that's going to cause problems. So we just want to add the bulk of our app here with this add. So we'll go ahead and right click this, and we're going to go down to Git, and we are going to say add. So that's going to add this code into our new commit. Then once we have that, we're going to go to VCS, and we're going to go to commit here, and we want to create a new commit, or excuse me, it's not in the Git drop down there, it's here in commit changes. So we'll go ahead and do that. So this is going to bring this little pop-up message that says, hey, look, you added all the files that are here. And if you're wondering, what does add mean? Well, remember, commits are what we're ultimately trying to create, and commits are points in time. And so we're adding things to this commit, saying that, we want to add some files for this particular point in time. And since this is our very first commit, people usually say something for their first commit like initial commit or something like that. I'm going to do just init. That's typical one that you can just sort for initialization, and we'll just go ahead and hit commit here. Okay, so you're going to see that it takes a little bit of time to get this up and running, but this creates our first saved point in time, our first commit in the project. So this is kind of our starting point here. So it's going to say, hey, we found some warnings. You sure want to move forward? Yes, just go ahead and commit that. Now you'll see we'll get a little pop-up here. There's this version control item down here, and if you click on this, this will show you the different things that are happening. And if we go to the log, here you can see our initial commit, and this is on a branch called master. We're going to learn about branches here in a second. But what's really cool about these commits is that let's say we wanted to add some code to our project. So here we've got our main activity, and I decide, you know what, I'm going to make a new string. I'm going to call it name, and I'm going to set it equal to Nick. Do my little semicolon there. Boom. I've added some new code. And you can see as I made a new space, added this line of code, there's some green over here to the left side. And this is saying this is new additional stuff that you've added to your app. So what we want to do is once we've added this information, we're going to save. Then we're going to go to VCS git add. Okay, that's going to add our code. And if we go back here and say commit changes, you'll notice it has tracked this one new change that we've created. So over here on the left side, it's showing for this main activity.java. There was no code after set content view. There was just that curly bracket. But now we've added a space and a new line, and we've added this new string called name. So it's saying, hey, this is a new thing. Are you sure you want to add it? So we do want to do that. Let's put some sort of message with this commit. We're going to say maybe something like we added a variable, something like that. That's not how you spell variable. Now I'm feeling dumb, so let's just say we added a var. Okay, so let's go ahead and commit that. And now if you look here inside of our log for version control, the initial commit was in it, and then we said we added a var. Okay, and you can see this is like the next point in time. So what's cool about this is if we want to, we can always go back in time with something. So let's say, for example, I decide that, you know what, I don't need the string Nick anymore. Instead, I'm going to make a new int called age, and I'm going to set it equal to 67, right? Like something like this. If I'm going to save this code, well, I have an opportunity here to go to, if I go to local changes and I unpack default here, I can take my main activity and I can right click here and I can say, you know what, I want to revert, and I say revert there, and boom, it brings back the code that I have. So if you ever make a mistake, do something wrong, you can always go ahead and do that, and it will take you back to the starting point, which is pretty great. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about with Git is that you can make things called branches. That's where if you're working on like a new feature or something like that, you might want to make a branch. And a branch is separately creating a separate timeline. So if we go ahead down here to where it says Git master, this is pretty hidden at the bottom, so I want to make sure you see this. You can go ahead and click this and say new branch. You can give your branch a name. So let's say we were going to be adding Facebook to our app or something. We could go ahead and click on this and say, all right, we're going to make a new branch. We're going to call it FB stuff, and we'll go ahead and add that. So now we have this new branch called FB stuff. So let's go ahead and say we're going to add some stuff like we love Facebook. We're just adding a comment here. So we'll save this. Version control, we want to commit changes. And if we go down here, we can see it's added some stuff there. So we're going to say something like Facebook rocks. Okay. And we'll go ahead and commit that. If we go now to the log, you can see we have Facebook rocks as this new commit, but look, the master branch is still on the commit called we added a var, whereas this new branch, FB stuff, it's here. So let's go ahead and add something else, like we'll just pretend like we had some other Facebook stuff like, oh, login now works or something like that. Okay, so we'll add that in, we'll save, and then we're going to go VCS commit changes, and we'll say, login added or something like that, and boom, all of a sudden, look, there's another commit, and you can see FB stuff is going even further. So what's cool now is we can actually take, it's nice to have these two branches, and if we want to, we can go ahead and if we go back down here to the bottom, we can click on master and say check out, and that will go back to this point in time. And so you can see those two comments that we made are completely gone. And if I want to go back to FB stuff and I say check that out, boom, it brings back the Facebook stuff. So I can kind of travel between these 2 points in time, which is neat. But let's say, I wanted to go ahead and, bring these two worlds together. Well, what I can do is while I have master checked out here, if I go, let's see, right now I am on FB stuff. So let's check out master. So make sure it says get master down here. So I'm at this point in time. I can go to FB stuff, and here I'm going to say merge. And it's going to bring, look at that, master up to the same point as FB stuff, and it's essentially added those two things together. So, we have the string name is equal to Nick, but we also have this, and so it sort of encapsulates that all in. Okay, so this is kind of a really quick intro into Git. There's so much more that you can do with this. Like I said, a ton of possibility when you're working with a team with Git. It makes it so much easier to work with. But just wanted to give you a nice introduction into this. So I hope you enjoyed learning about a version control system, and it helps you manage your code that much better.